Choi Min-young is a 5-time North Korean defector who has lived the experience of trying to escape North Korea and being forcibly repatriated by the Chinese government. She was sent to a re-education camp in North Korea, where she was a victim of violent beatings, forced labor, and sexual abuse. She had once lost consciousness from the brutality of the labor and was left for dead in a warehouse among the other corpses of attempted escapees that had died from exhaustion. It is no surprise to most today that the North Korean regime has violated human rights in countless different ways. What makes the tragedy even more abhorrent, though, is the role of the neighboring Chinese government in supporting precisely those human rights abuses. Since early 2020, China has forcibly repatriated over 670 North Korean refugees, 70% of whom are women, where they will be exposed to severe risk of torture, sexual violence, imprisonment, forced labor, and execution. Almost all North Koreans attempting to flee to South Korea must travel through China. China, a staunch ally of the DPRK, categorizes North Korean refugees as economic migrants that have illegally crossed the border in search of job opportunities rather than out of a fear of persecution. Chinese diplomats have consistently said that there is no evidence to support the existence of human rights abuses in North Korea and send defectors back to where they and their families will suffer harshly. The unfortunate reality is that China's foreign policy is unlikely to change in the short run. Its position on the Security Council and history of ignoring diplomatic pressure makes it unlikely to stop repatriations. What we can do is decrease the risk of refugees being caught once they are in China. Most defectors are women, who rely on exploitative brokers who promise to get them to South Korea, only to sell them into forced marriages with Chinese men, where they are at a much higher risk of being repatriated and caught because of their continued presence in China. What we need to do is to empower organizations like Liberty in North Korea to continue, 1, conducting covert rescue missions themselves instead of brokers, and 2, establishing networks of safe houses and local partners throughout China, often described as a modern underground railroad to reduce dependency once again on brokers. This can happen through directly funding these NGOs or public advertising to raise awareness of the existence of these organizations and the work that they do. This is realistic. Liberty in North Korea has already successfully commandeered these rescue missions and has set up routes of this kind before. Governments have a track record of working with refugee charities, even here in Canada. See their collaborations with Hun Voice. Perhaps at some point in the future, a change in North Korean and Chinese leadership would open the gates for bigger but ultimately necessary policy changes to free North Korean refugees.